Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, chili or email? You can't have both. Math, what a concept. Remember the basics. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Chili or email? You can't have both. This story happened some years ago to one of my car dealer clients. I had worked with these folks for over 10 years at this point, so little surprised me when issues cropped up. The building they were in was several decades old, and their power needs proved it. One Saturday morning, the wife and I were heading to the big city to do some shopping when I get a call from the dealership. Manager, one of several on hand. Salesperson, no description needed. Me answering the phone, hello. This is me. Manager, hey, we're not getting any email, and I can't send any either. I can surf the internet, just no email. Oh, and I think Wi-Fi is down also. Me, well, that's not right. Any power issues? This is an industrial area of the city, and the power company liked to perform work on the weekends while it wasn't as busy. Manager, no power has been good so far. We need to get the email going again. I'm waiting for some important messages from new car manufacturer that I need yesterday. If we can't send any emails to clients, we could lose sales. It's really important we get this fixed ASAP. Continue more droning on about the importance of his email. Stopping him mid-sentence. Me, okay, no problem. Wife and I were already heading to nearby shopping destination, so I'll be there in about 10 minutes. Upon my arrival, I head directly to the server room and find UPSs complaining about being on battery and the email server powered down. Okay, we do have a power issue. Checking the rest of the room, I find the primary dealer management system, DHCP server, parts catalog, routers and switches are all up and running. Wi-Fi controllers and of course the email server are down. I'm checking power feeds when manager pokes his head in and continues to tell me how important email is, with several salespeople in the behind him complaining about no Wi-Fi. Me, I know. Trying to find out why portions of my racks don't have power. So no power glitches happened after you guys opened? Email was working when you got here? Manager, yeah, no lights flickered and was able to access email right away. Then the salespeople started complaining about Wi-Fi. At this point, I'm now headed to the hallway where the electrical panels were located. All 5 of them. With some of the worst labeling I've ever seen. Decades of labels, marker, crayon of locations that were mostly unreadable. Random salesperson walks up. Salesperson, hey me, are you looking for the breaker for the lunchroom? Me, no, some power is out on the server racks and I'm trying to figure out why. Salesperson, well, if you find the one for the lunchroom, let me know. The toaster isn't working. Me, well, okay, but not my priority at the moment. You see, this building used to be a big box hardware store before they got bigger. During the dealership renovation, apparently the electricians did not trace or update the labeling of the electrical circuits in the whole building. Old or new. During the renovation of the building, I did remember seeing the old plans, and that the server room and neighboring storage rooms used to be the manager offices for big box hardware. In the 4th panel, I finally find an old label for manager office and find the tripped breaker. I reset the breaker and turn it back on, and seconds later it trips again. In the meantime, I hear from down the hall. Salesman, hey, you found it. Nope, it's off again. What the hell? I go into the lunchroom and find him at the toaster with a bagel inside, and next to it a crock pot full of warm chili. Staff lunch has killed portions of the network. As I came to realization that several of the lunchroom receptacles were on the same circuit as parts of the server room some 50 feet away, my level of cursing began to rise. With salesman's help, we moved the crock pot and toaster to the other side of the room, which was still working. I reset the breaker and began to curse the original electricians as I brought the systems back up in the server room. I then retrieved my trusty label maker and labeled the breaker and receptacles, adding warnings to each location just in case. I updated management working that day that their lunch brought down their email, and my wife and I continued our shopping spree, me being pretty irritated at the comedy of errors. The following Monday I contact general manager and explain what happened. I also let him know that I was making an executive decision, and that I contacted their electrician, and had him add multiple 30-amp circuits to the server room. Always the professionals, they also traced the remaining receptacles in the room and labeled them. To prevent further interruption, I set aside a late evening trip on site to move the UPSs over to the new circuits, and all was right with the world again. Hope that chili was worth it. Math, what a concept! Back in 2009, our company purchased a horribly mismanaged company mostly for their technical ability and their customers. I was asked to come to the president's office and meet. One of the crown jewels of this acquisition was a guy we will call Fred. For background, our IT department falls under the accounting department and headed by the CFO/treasurer. I do not work for or report to the president in any way, but professional courtesy, he usually gets what he wants for the most part. Fred seemed nice enough. We exchanged pleasantries and the president mentioned that he would be needing a new, beefy, top-of-the-line PCs for this new venture. I told him no problem. Just let me know the specs and I'll get it done, and I went on my merry way. Later that day the president asked me to stop back by his office for a little chat. Towards the end of the day, I swung by his office. The president wanted to let me know that Fred and his teams were really smart guys, and that they would probably be the IT team for the company someday in the future. It would be best to really do a good job on this, as this guy would likely be my boss at some point in the future. So I was already kind of bristling at this because, as it stood, I was in charge of IT, even if it was only me and one other guy, and I didn't like the idea of a demotion. Then he handed me a piece of paper with the specs that Fred wanted and needed to be able to work properly. It read, going from memory, as follows. HP or Dell laptop must have Intel i7-720QM Windows 7 32-bit 32 GB of RAM 500 GB HDD or NVIDIA graphic card. I kind of snickered. I said, can we call him? We got Fred on the phone. Fred, did you mean to specify Windows 7 64-bit? No, says Fred, it has to be 32-bit. 64-bit won't work with the applications I use. Okay. So then we'll drop the memory down to 4 GB. No, says Fred, I need 32 GB or I won't be able to work efficiently. So I tell the really smart guy that 32 GB won't work in a 32-bit system. He insists it will. He knows what he needs and what he is doing, and just order it the way he specified. He can configure it to work just fine. I tell him that I would love to see this, as it basically breaks math. Long story short, I order it and, lo and behold, a 32-bit system can only use 4 GB of memory. He tells the president that I must have done something wrong with the setup or something on the network was preventing it from using all 32 GB. Facepalm. Later in the week my CFO/boss wants to have a meeting with me to discuss why we cannot configure it the way he wants and what we can do to solve this issue. So I go to the meeting and my boss asks me, what is preventing you from configuring this the way he wants? Math. Math? Yes, math. You see, what 32-bit and 64-bit means is how many address registers a computer can access in memory. 32-bit means it can access 232 address registers, or a little over 4 billion ones and zeros, or 4 gigabits. That's it. It's not up for debate. I can stick 106 of memory in there, and it will still only use 4 gigabytes. It cannot be changed because you cannot change the math. Did you explain it to him? No, I did not. Because he said he wanted it that way, and he could configure it to work. But said the CFO, you said it couldn't work. What can he do to make it work? Nothing. Again, math. In the end, Fred said he would just deal with it. He lasted about 8 months and was asked to leave after he spent $7,500 at a Vegas strip club with clients one night. Apparently, math was never a strong suit of his. Remember the basics. Something not so funny just happened and I thought I'd share. So, I'm gearing up for a job interview over Teams, start up the new computer, and no boot. I do get a small underscore symbol on the screen after several seconds, but no BIOS or other indication of life. This is a new system with a known weak power supply, and the weather has been really hot, so I'm thinking that's probably it. The weird thing is that it was running fine when I shut it down a few days before. I have well over 30 years of computer troubleshooting experience, so I start with the basics first. Move RAM DIMM number 2 to number 1 position. No change. Swap the video card with a low power unit. No change. Call my friend to see if he has a power supply I can borrow for testing. And he has one. I go get it and it doesn't connect as it's too old, obsolete connectors. Interview time, so I grab the old backup laptop and at some point the wireless flakes out, then the battery dies during the interview with almost no warning. We reschedule for several hours later. Damn, not a good look so far. Back to the new system troubleshooting. F it, off to Best Buy to get a replacement power supply. Get it home, hook it all up, uninstalled, and bingo. Got boot. Sweet. Reassemble the entire system, turn it on, no boot, same symptom. What? Loose connection? Bad wire? What could it be? I disconnect everything except for a single monitor, turn it on and got boot. Ha! Then it hits me like a ton of bricks and I feel so stupid. What is the very first thing we ask everyone to check when they state that their system suddenly won't boot? Say it with me now. Do you have any USB drives plugged in? Well, did I? Yep, sure did. A new bit of software for my Mustang tuning project arrived a few weeks ago. I had just forgotten that it was there, and since I almost never shut the system down, I never had a boot problem until now. I guess now I have a more reliable power supply and a spare. I'm just really glad that nobody saw this happen. Now I have to make up a complicated excuse to tell the wife, winky face.